My 32F boyfriend 40M found condoms in one of my moving boxes and the conversation seems to be going nowhere. My boyfriend and I have been together for 1 year. We live separately but I spend the majority of my time at his place. I am moving into a new apartment and have been casually packing my things and started with the surface items and drawers of my bedroom. While emptying my side tables I saw an old but not expired box of condoms from before we were together and before I got my tubes tied. I contemplated for a minute on what to do with them because while we do not use them, I have had friends ask me if I had any before, specifically when we are having a party or guest stay. It doesn't occur a lot but I like to be someone who has things for people in case they need it. And there's 3 years of life left on them so I didn't want to just throw them away. I know it's not the same but sort of like having an extra toothbrush in case a guest forgets. So I packed them up, and totally thought to myself about my BF maybe finding them but figured during the unpacking process I'd bring them to his attention and state my reason for keeping these at my new place so that he knew my intentions. Well, I get the keys yesterday and have a small car load of boxes with me that I didn't tape up and he sees them in one of the boxes. He asks me why I have them and I told him why and apologized for making him uncomfortable and explained that I intended to tell him when I actually began unpacking. We were on the way out to dinner so we were in the car for the conversation. This turned into him asking further questions about why I packed them in the first boxes, making statements such as, "What a weird thing to pack. Your friends can get their own condoms." And finally him stating he wants to see the expiration date on them and that if they were that old then they should be close to expiring. At dinner, he's calm, not yelling or running off, which he pointed out that he could be doing. It's the things he is saying that are rubbing me wrong. Everything I say is met with another layer of thoughts or concerns on his end that honestly don't add up for me. He says he's not asking for anything, just simply sharing how he's feeling, but what he's saying truly comes off accusatory. He says accusatory statements but then acts that simply saying he isn't accusing me is enough. Just as sometimes he says manipulative things but says he's not a manipulator and that isn't his intention. It's just weird and I feel like this is a "you'd have to have been there" kind of thing to know what I'm trying to convey here. I try to be reassuring but it is really hard not to feel defensive, especially because I've had issues recently where he continues to have conversations with his ex-wife and wants her to watch his dog when we go on a trip next month that I paid for. She doesn't even know we are together. But when I mention my insecurities about that, he was dismissing me, scoffing at me, and even hiding his head under the blanket. I didn't demand to see his texts with her. Him demanding to see the condom date really felt hypocritical and like he just didn't trust me. I know he isn't in a romantic relationship with her. They've known one another for most of their lives, but how do I know what their conversations with each other are like, especially when he doesn't share that he's in a relationship? Took him back to my new place to see them after dinner, express in 2026, and he didn't even say anything. We went to his place and he just wanted to settle down, smoke weed, hug on me. Like he wanted things to be normal, but I was frozen. I think I said a total of 5 words before I took my things and left. I haven't done anything wrong. I explained myself and apologized with sincerity while also making sure he knows that I'm not going to be made to feel like I'm the bad guy here. I feel like the conversation should have been enough and neither of us yelled and we were listening, but it just seemed like he wanted to keep pulling more out of it and twisting it around to make it seem like what I was saying actually meant something else. At that point I didn't know what else to do or say. I can only say what the truth was. How can I say anything more about his worries, thoughts when they played no part at all in my reasoning for keeping them? Should I just let it go and hope he gets over it, or is there something else that needs done here? My BF found condoms in my moving boxes that I kept in case guests need one and is acting like I'm intending to cheat on him. I'm lost, confused, feeling stupid, yet also heartbroken and stupidly hopeful. This is a throwaway account, and I am going to try to summarize this as nicely as possible. I 35F have been married for over a decade. My husband is emotionally, psychologically, verbally abusive. I have spent years trying to work on our relationship, and after many years of frustration, I decided to have an affair to get my physical needs met. I have always felt that cheating is morally wrong and have consistently felt guilty about it. Truth is, I know I should have just left my husband, but with kids and money that never seemed realistic. I've had a couple brief affairs, but nothing super serious because I would end it fairly quickly since cheating always felt so wrong. But then I met him. We met online, both fully aware that each other was unhappily married. We dated. He would bring me lunch at work, we would go on dates, etc. I felt there was something different, special about this man as soon as we met. Let's fast forward a bit. We had been together for almost 2 years. We had been through a lot during that time. Well, actually I went through a lot, and he was so supportive each step. He made me actually believe in love. I opened up to him in ways that I never have with anyone. In addition to my abusive husband, my family also has fucked me up well. He made me feel safe. We had discussed ending our marriages. He has allows planned to get out, but wanted to wait until the kids were older. I fully respect that too. We discussed that I was going to end my marriage and possibly move closer to where he was, so that one day it would be easier to combine our lives. We discussed that multiple times and he was fully on board each time. I even asked him to not lie to me, and that if he does not feel like that would be a good move, please share any thoughts he had on that. He reassured me. We went from what I thought was perfect, to I still have no fucking idea what the hell happened quickly. He called me to end things out of the blue one day. He told me that he is leaving his wife and needs to focus on that and being a better person. When further questioned, he shared that he has been seeing another woman since before he met me. He said that he went to break it off with her because he claims that he was in love with me and wanted to end his marriage other affair to be with me. He said this other woman handled it so well and that they prayed together. She is apparently religious and he isn't really. He said he had this moment with God and he feels he needs to fix things there, hence ending things with me. He said he wants to lead a transparent life and be a good person. All things I fully support too. I was crushed. I still am. We met up a couple days later. When we met we held each other a lot. Talked about how he told his wife about divorce and the kids no. We talked about him needing to focus on everything in his life, and actually the same goes for me too. We said that instead of talking every day like we had been, we would reach out one day a week. We both shared that we loved each other and could still see each other together in the long run. I felt this feeling more hopeful, and like we handled this yucky situation the best way possible. Well, a couple hours later I get a call. It is him begging me to let him go. Saying he needs the space from me to work through this. But he also says that we could still be together one day. My brain is just spinning. I do truly love this man. I told him I would give him whatever he needed to get through this, even if that was space and I don't like it. He is starting therapy, and shared that he thinks he might have a sex addiction. I feel like I have no idea what is real and not. I feel like I could literally see and feel the love he had for me radiating out of him. And vice versa. He has held me and been there for me at my lowest point in life. He always spoke of our future. I just don't know what to think anymore. Just another roommate issue. Camera in public space for my own safety. Roommate telling me it's a felony. For reference, Arizona. TLDR at bottom. After my 29FX cheated on me, I moved out and into a place with my current roommate 29F. All was well. I was so excited. A new start. We talked for a couple months prior moving. She seemed relatively normal. I'm not sure what happened, but I genuinely feel unsafe in my own home now. The short version is, it's been 3 months and she still hasn't unpacked. I don't think I've ever seen her clean. I cannot tell you how many loads of laundry of hers I've done just to get it out of the way. She's disgusting, quite frankly. I don't care what her room looks like, but I don't think it's unreasonable to ask her to pick up after herself. Mind you, she doesn't work, so it's not like she's busy. She has no excuse. Approximately a month ago I came home to pure filth. I'm talking steaks that had been left out all night. Dirty dishes everywhere. Quite literally a layer of grease on the stove. I certainly didn't leave it that way. I was so nice. I asked her to pick up her stuff. I told her I felt disrespected. And that it wasn't fair to me because I don't leave the common area this way. I literally offered to make this grown adult a chore chart. She began to berate me, slander me. Went so far as to message my ex on social media. Love to know how she found them. Their name is not their given name on any social media. I'm living in fear she'll start stuff with the guy I'm currently seeing. Literally because I asked her to pick up after herself. Because of the accusations she made against me and things she has said, I put a camera in the living room. I'm uncomfortable being around her without some sort of safety feature for myself. She is aware of the camera. It's in plain sight. And it does not face nor enter view of her room. Truthfully, I don't even have the notifications on for it. The place came with a Ring doorbell and I haven't even ever set that up. I am truly not sitting there watching her. I don't care what she does. It is 100% there in case she tries to say that I did or said something that did not happen. Like, believe me, I don't want to feel walking in my own home either, but because of the lies and everything else that she has done, I do not trust her and I do not feel leave safe in this home. She has someone coming to visit next week. Asked me to remove the camera. Truthfully, I get it. I don't blame her. But while I'm in the home, I'm uncomfortable with that. If I'm not their IDC, I am absolutely willing to compromise and relocate the camera so that way it faces directly into my room from the living room, so that way there is still some sort of safety feature while I am in the common area. But it is not directly facing the couch or the kitchen or anything like that. She told me it was a felony to even have it. I work fire, medical. This girl is not worth my career, but also not worth my safety. Mind you, this was all at 1 a.m. while I was on shift. I work a lot as a first responder. I'm talking 24-hour shifts. I'm also in school. And on the days I truly have off, I'm typically at my boyfriend's or other friends' homes or trying to do something, so I'm not around because I'm that uncomfortable. I worked out my schedule while this person will be here. I will be there 1 day, 2 mornings, and 2 nights. Out of 8 days. She seems to forget I live there too. Basically, is it actually a felony? Do I need to remove it, and is there anything else I can do for my safety while I'm still living in the home? I'm working on moving out. I already do not speak to her in person and make her either text or email me. I also have taken photos of the condition when she leaves. As well, I have screenshots of the politely asking her to pick up after herself and other conversations that we have had regarding this matter. TLDR, roommate wouldn't pick up after herself. I asked nicely multiple times. She got mad and has made false accusations against me. Have placed camera in living room. She's aware and it does not face her room. She's telling me it's a felony. Does it have to be removed if she does not give consent? And how else can I protect myself until I move out? Also, what type of lawyer would I need to seek out should I have to? How do I 21F keep my parents' 70 meters, 66F marriage from falling apart? Throughout my 21F childhood, It was obvious that my parents were going through a rough time. I often woke up to them screaming at each other, or things being thrown across the house. My father has struggled with alcoholism my entire life, and addiction unfortunately runs in my family. By the time I was 8, one of my siblings had already been admitted to rehab, and my dad was on his way. It wasn't until my mother served him divorce papers and said, "It's either us or your addiction," that he actually agreed to go. I had always adored my dad, despite the fact that he wasn't there in a lot of ways. Seeing him go off to rehab, where I was only allowed a visit once a month, and being stuck with my mother who had anger issues destroyed my little 8-year-old happiness. One of my teachers eventually had to pull me aside and ask if everything was okay at home. I had been failing the 3rd grade, when school had previously been something I had enjoyed. Once my dad was out, he had to work overtime in order to keep his position at the hospital. Between work and the AA meetings my parents had to attend for a couple hours every night, I barely saw them. I had to grow up quickly, but my relationship with them did begin to improve once I got to high school. Fast forward to now, my parents are retired, and my dad had fallen back into his addiction. He has severe depression, sleeps for most of the day, and refuses exercise or therapy of any kind. Almost as soon as he wakes up, he begins to pour himself a cup of bourbon. My mom is at her wit's end. She spends half of her day alone and has explained to me that she feels suffocated by his needs. She has tried to get him professional help, but he becomes combative anytime it's brought up. My mom has begun venting to me whenever I come home from school to see her, and I can't take it anymore. I don't want to hear of how awful a person my dad is. I don't want to hear about how their marriage is falling apart, and how they barely even like each other anymore. I don't know how to help them. I've tried to be more present and hang out with the both of them whenever I can, but it's never enough. My mom recently canceled a trip with my sister because my dad wanted to go with them. In her words, "I cannot think of anything more awful than spending a week in a camper with him. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know how to help them, or if I can. My friends have told me that it's not my battle to fight, but I feel awful doing nothing. I am just so lost. My dad is 70 years old, and if he continues down this path, I'm terrified he won't be here to see my wedding. I also hate to see my mom consumed by her anger. It feels like I am utterly helpless to do anything to help them. Which is why I decided to post here as a last resort. I'm sorry for the long rant, but I'm hoping some parents out there can give me some advice.